Hello, my friend, and welcome. This is your moment. I'm Katarina Miletic, and you are listening to the podcast that will challenge you to think with your soul and believe that your only power is inside you. Hi, Anders.
Hello. Hi, Katarina.
Hi, thank you so much for joining me today. This is Your Moment is a platform where we feature mission-centered entrepreneurs. We feature people who have this heart-centered mission, who have desire to serve people, and who have an incredible story, an incredible life story of experience richer than most of us can imagine. And I have not come across a story like yours, because it's just a story of such bravery, of living with long ongoing physical pain that you have battled out yourself, and that I'm sure you will share with us your story. I don't want to do it injustice in any way, but your story was moving when I first heard it. And I'm so glad to introduce you as someone who I also met through storytelling group on Facebook, which is like most of the guests on this show either come from my entrepreneurial groups and friends that I have made through those groups, or lately we found this connection through storytelling.
Yeah.
So it is immense honor to have you on this platform and to share you with the listeners and with the audience of this platform and with the world. So Anders, if you could start by telling us what makes you passionate about your mission, and share with us your story, if you will, please.
Thank you, Katarina. Pleasure to be here. And I'm happy to share my story. I come from a place where I was suffering in pain, and that was physical pain for many years. In my 20s, I was involved with a car accident with a person passed away in the oncoming car. I was 20 at the time, and in the trauma that it brought me, I started to have back pain, and the back pain was not really like that severe in the beginning, but it was something that was going up and up with the years that came. And I had to work as a machine operator at the time, driving excavators and loaders. But the back pain I was dealing with was slowly kind of eating away my life. I was suffering through pain by doing the work I was trained to do. So the work didn't just become doing the work and get paid. It was pushing pain through the day to try to get relief in the evening. And with time, it was just too much, and I realized I had to do something else. So I went back to school, back to university, where I hadn't gone to university before, but this time I fixed my grades. I went to university and I studied to become an engineer in energy technology. And I thought, this is the time also. I have 3 to 4 years now to try to solve this pain that I was dealing with in my lower thoracic spine. And with the years also that passed, I took treatments of different kinds. There was chiropractic. It was, I don't know if it's a common, that's naprapat in Sweden, where I'm from. And it was acupressure, acupuncture. It was different modalities of massage. It was heat pads. It was doing physical therapy. Walking in the forest. Everything I could get a handle, I tried. But the pain got worse, and as I was going in university, I ended up being part of a research group where I got to train deadlifts, like on a light weights. And I could see some improvements. But when I look back, it was mostly because I'm just increased the oxygen in the tissue at the time when lifting something, and then the pain got back to me. And it's also maybe got worse due to I got stronger in my back, and the spasm itself got more intense. And I also got more like a commitment or an understanding to myself that, okay, there was something that was wrong with my back, which before the research, I wasn't sure what was going on. I didn't really get any answers from anyone. It was just my muscles was really tight. And I never saw a neurologist at that time. But due to the research, it was kind of extended, like how they looked at what was going on. And it was ultrasound like on your back to see how your muscles are activated and everything. So quite deep like research that was done. And we saw improvements in the way of my muscles, how it was working in the body, but it didn't solve anything. And I kept on looking. And by the end of my university study, I was in such a bad shape that I struggled like the last semester of my study. And there was some courses I hadn't finished. It became also a battle. Maybe other people have experienced. It's like battle against sitting. So you're pushing yourself, and you put stress on yourself. Like in this case, you have an assignment to do, and it's not only to get a grade for the assignment, but it's also battle that if I don't get it and I have to rewrite it, I have to sit even more, which becomes a very personal thing, like a stress factor. And it's harder to study when you put that pressure on yourself too. And by the last semester, I couldn't handle it anymore. I was going back and forth to the doctor, didn't do anything. It was only questions about, are you eating medication? If you're eating, it's kind of, then you should eat another or you should eat more. If you're not eating, then you should start to eat. That was more or less the relationship to the doctor. What I said didn't really matter. So I ended up on a sick leave for quite a while. But due to, I found something that was postural therapy, or Igosco method in the States. It's coming from California. It got me back. But it's very focused on the postural part of it. I pushed myself hard, and I got better to the place that I could start work again. But 2 years into that work, a bit more than that, then I got assaulted, and I got a neck injury on top of my lower thoracic spine. And this time I saw a neurologist, and they kind of confirmed that you have nerve damage. And I asked them, what about my lower thoracic spine? Could you have a look at that too? And when I'm here, he's like, yeah, it looks the same, like your body, how it reacts. And they like put needles to see how your skin is flaring up, how your body is reacting, like skin tones, if you put pressure on different parts. And it was kind of like, put a needle here, and my whole upper back kind of flared up, my skin just red. So then I had a diagnosis, and the solution was eat medication, like strong medication. And I didn't feel for it. It didn't feel like it was the right way to go, as that was kind of their solution. And in medical, Western medicine, we talked about that if you work longer than 3 months with pain, it's classified as chronic. And chronic isn't really a word you want to have if you're diagnosed.
No.
Because the future is kind of set. Is this how I'm going to live? And in this time, I decided maybe I should study through something that could, instead of just taking treatments, I'm going to a place where I learn something and I maybe can treat others, or help others at the same time as I'm solving myself.
Right.
And I carry that knowledge with me. And so I studied kinesiology. And on one of the course, I got to experience something that was very emotional. I got brought up in front of everybody, or they asked, is there anybody up for doing something, like to share something? And I said, yeah, I was willing to do whatever that helped me.
Mm.
And at the time, like, I don't know if people can, like, if they suffer in this way, but I struggled to have a jacket or anything. So I was wearing like singlets all the time. Even in the winter, I had a thinner jacket, but as soon as I came inside, I took it off just for the, how do you say, it was touching the skin, and it flared up out of that. It was really irritated easily.
Mm-hmm.
But on this thing, they asked to share something, and I could pick anything. And I took the car accident when I was 20. And this time I passed my 30th birthday. And it brought me back. He had done some spots on my body, and even before I came to the accident itself, the collision, I started crying. And I've had trouble crying. There wasn't, I didn't know how to bring it out. And I troubled to have relationships due to I couldn't let people in. Even if I saw that it would be nice to have somebody close to me. And I hurt people in my journey of not being able to let people in. So you're dating someone and they show your emotions and you kind of freeze and you're just closing up and you feel it. There's nothing there. But you don't know how to express it. How do I like say this to a person that you see they enjoy being with you, and you explain like it's cold when you say something that you love me or that you have a strong feeling for me. It was fine kind of until people pushed me that like expressed their way of enjoying to be with me. So I hide it away, and maybe other people may experience that too. But at this time, I shared the story on the bench in front of the other people in the class, and I started crying before the accident, and I started shaking on the bench, and I probably shake for another 2 hours after I'd been on the bench, and there was people like crying in the background. I could hear where I was laying on the bench. It was kind of that I experienced the whole accident again, and I thought. Or the experience outcome of that was that the pain disappeared for like 2 days. Like in my whole body, I didn't feel anything. So I took the train back north, sat for 5 hours, nothing. And I'm just, have I been looking in the wrong place? I've been looking for a physical solution for the physical pain I'm experiencing. But it did seem to have a really strong connection with my emotional part. And even I was going to psychologists at this time, it didn't touch this. There was nobody explaining that, like how strong the connection is between the mind and the body. And even if I brought it up that I've had this experience, they didn't seem to be that interested in, like, okay, this I want to know more about. There was nothing. But in that, I started to change my direction to find solutions. And I bumped into what we call the mind-body connection. The mind-body syndrome. It's many names for it.
Right.
But it's the relationship for us to be able to express our emotion, allow them to be felt. And a lot of times it is anger that is the one. But guys, in general, also there is the ability to cry. A lot of guys walking around and have been taught at an early age that guys don't cry. And you become so good at it, you're not even aware of that maybe this is the time to cry. There might be times, but it probably is more times that it's appropriate for you to actually express that you're feeling sad and vulnerable. But just above being fearful and allowing yourself to be vulnerable, we have this step of being angry, and you can see that's definitely in a lot of males that they show anger, and then don't allow themselves to be, how do you say, be fear and vulnerable. in front of anybody. They show themselves strong, but that has a cost to it, and it seems to have such a strong relationship to physical pain.
Yes.
And other things, even autoimmune diseases. There is strong correlation that people get out of it. There are fibromyalgia or AS, and now I can't remember it. But there are many more. But and back pain seems to be very common in this area. And with the knowledge I got was that the more knowledge I got and starting to express my emotions, and that this was without psychologists now. I was doing it mostly by myself, and I got myself a coach to help me go through some parts of it. And the pain kind of just ceased slowly. The tension in my body just slowly disappeared until I was pain-free. I took to give myself the space to actually do the last part of it. I brought myself over to Indonesia to stay for a bit more than 2 months. And I was just reading and enjoying the sun and being by the beach. And it helped a lot for me to change the environment. I'm not saying it's for everybody, but for me it worked to go to a place where you don't have the social interactions you maybe normally have. This is a place where nobody says that you're crazy or that you're up to something weird, or because it is a part that most people aren't aware of, and I wasn't aware of it. I had been looking in the wrong spot for 15 years. And when I found this, I could see kind of directly that I'm on the right path here. And I'm not going to take the honor for this work. It started, or it's a wider picture, but in the Western medicine, there was a man called, his name was Johnny Sarno, who lived in New York. And I found his book, Human Back Pain. And it's available on Amazon. It's not that expensive, and it's definitely, I think it's for everyone to read and read it out of the view of pain, just in general. It's written about back pain and neck pain,
right? But
just pain, and the body in a wider picture. It was written in the late 80s and in the beginning 90s, but it's probably one of the best books I've bumped into so far in this topic, and of all books I've read. So I'm forever thankful for his work and his commitment to helping people in pain. And still in the Western medicine, we're not really working that way. So, but it is coming. It's slowly. It's getting more research. It's some more doctors, therapists, psychologists that jumping on this wagon, but also coaching. And this has taken me to taking the steps out of engineering and giving myself. How do you say it?
A new calling in life, right?
Yeah, and you're calling to become a coach myself to help people, because I see it's there's so many of us that are struggling with pain, and it's very little help we get. And it's about getting to the core of why we're walking around with so much tension.
I think our lifestyles are responsible for most of this, but then also our attitudes, right? Because I think we need to take into our own hands the responsibility of educating ourselves, of getting this awareness around the everything in our body isn't just physical. Our bodies are connected with our mind, with our emotions, with our soul, with something that is much deeper and bigger than what we imagine as ourselves, like just this small perimeter of this physical body. It's not disconnected. All of these parts of us have to live in harmony. And if your story isn't a testament to that you found your way out of physical pain when you connected all of these different areas, especially this connection between the mind and the emotions, I mean, there's so many big lessons in your story, Anders, like our society, the way that we have segmented this, like boys don't cry and men shouldn't cry and express their emotions when we're human beings, and I think irrelevant of our sex, that we have need to express emotions. We have the need for connection, for understanding, for compassion.
Yeah, so there is a strong correlation between where we grow up in our environments. So we've been taught by an early age how to handle things in life. And this starts already in like early childhood, and it goes up to whatever environment we have. And our parents, we have to remember, the majority of them are doing the best job they can. They are dealing with their life at the same time they try to bring a new life to this world. But sometimes they fall short, and they have also had a childhood where they learned how to deal with things. And as I see it, is like if you choose to take the journey of learning to express your emotions and be fine with them, it's actually teaching people around you also to show because as you change, you're changing your environment.
Yes.
But you just go after someone else and tell them to change. That probably won't happen.
Never works.
It's about commitment and allowing yourself that, okay, this could be a bit of a tough journey, but I can say it's definitely worth it. And your parents are most likely changing their paths also. Maybe not taking a giant leap, but maybe with time they also asking more questions. What is going on? What did you do?
Yes.
And we can normally strongly see the connection to your parents, and maybe even the grandparents if they're still with you, or whoever you are. But it's beautiful, I think, to see how people can change, and that they can heal, that it is a way out, even if you've had the diagnosis that this is something you have to live with. And even with the changes that you can find from MRI, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be in pain. There is big research when they study taking x-rays out of multiple people, over 2,000 people who never had back pain. And they have the same changes in their back as the people who are dealing with pain. And I'm not saying to either to take away as saying it's just in your head, it's not in your head. The pain is real and it's physical, and it could be the worst thing. It can drop you to the floor. And you can lay there and scream. That's how intense the pain can be, just by not allowing yourself emotions.
Pain is the real thing, isn't it? And even if it's short, even if it's something that you feel for a short amount of time, let alone for 15 years, it's honestly unimaginable. I can just sense how hard that is, and finding through all of the things that you tried, finding just a temporary relief, knowing that it's coming back, that you haven't got rid of it completely, as opposed to when you actually found the solution, that felt like you got hope in that moment, right? You knew you were on the road to recovery, to full recovery then. I mean, that just shines on your face when you tell that story. It is so empowering.
And in Indonesia also, I even, as I was kind of, I would say I was pain-free, I went to a massage, went for a massage, and just to kind of see, first when I got asked, like, do you want to come and go and take a massage, I was just like, I don't need one anymore, I know it's fine. And I've been taking massage for 15 years. But just to make company, I'm just like, yeah, come along. And I thought this could be interesting to see actually what has happened. Am I still sensitive in my musculature of my body? But maybe I had like 7 spots. Around my hip there was a couple, and like my thighs. So that was it. And I've been like, it's been painful everywhere. Like as you getting a couple of massage sessions, you get better. But it's kind of, my body was just tightening up again. So you're relaxing by getting touched, and your body releases oxytocin as you get a massage. So that's an anti-inflammatory reaction. So it was probably helping me temporary. And I'm definitely glad that on my search that I had that opportunity also to help me through those years before I found this way. And I think that most people that I met that has been a therapist of some sort, they have done their best. I'm deeply glad that I met them, and I met some beautiful people on the way. But as I see it, there is kind of a final solution. And then if you are practicing like some athletes, like some sports, it could be good to get a treatment every now and then just to help yourself to recover, getting more blood flow. But in general, it doesn't seem to that we need to be taking massage every month just to stay out of tension. But it is a journey of going into this. It's definitely a new experience of who am I.
It's spiritual journey as well, isn't it? It takes you deeper into who you are.
It's definitely something that some people say, it's a spiritual awakening that they didn't even think did exist. It's amazing to see a person transform. It's hard to describe. It's we all have it in us. Like we all can have this knowledge. Normally, from we getting born, we know how to express. We know how to cry. We know how to throw a tantrum. But as we grow up, we push that away out of fitting in our environment. We can be without the same home, but it's different position. If you're the oldest or the youngest, how's your parents going through? Like, did they have some trauma in their life as you grow up, so they turning off, you're trying to deal with their things, and they can't be there for you as much? Or, it could really be anything. But most of us has this more or less hiding away of not showing who we really are. And that's what you mentioned also. The society itself is really allowing that part.
It doesn't help, certainly. I think knowing that the key is in our hands, and educating ourselves, taking responsibility for our own lives, understanding that our parents, despite doing their best, have probably been exposed to same conditioning that we have not escaped, right? That got us through education, through society, just the way that we have constructed life. But that doesn't mean that there are no solutions, that there is that someone else outside you can give you diagnosis or prognosis that is your destiny written there, right? It's only you who can determine how far you can go in search of making yourself even pain-free, despite the conventional and traditional methods, right?
And it's also other things. Normally, when you go through a transformation like this, you're starting to see that maybe has been patterned through your life, where you can see the dots through your life. Okay, I ended up here because of this, or I've had this issue or that issue and that issue. It could be carpal tunnel. It could be whiplash. It could be headache. Muscle tension somewhere like in the elbow. It could be knee pain. And then it's all dissolving as you starting to express. And when we are not coping well with our emotion, we actually seems to be create inflammation in our body.
Our
And that
body
in itself
stores
is
that.
like,
Yes. Yeah.
yeah, and the inflammation goes on and on. So when you solve it, inflammation goes away. So it's beneficial in many ways. And normally, like your bowel movements also working better, like your stomach, if you have food sensitivities. And I have a story here I can share with my own, I guess, interest and curiosity of if this I'm studying now and I'm reading, if this is true. I had a coffee sensitivity for quite a couple of years. And I was working a lot for a while, building railroad tunnels as a machine operator, and I had a lot of coffee at that time. And I had to stop. My stomach was just throwing a tantrum. It wasn't coping well. So I more or less stopped for 8+ years. I could have a coffee every now and then, just one cup, but not every day. And it was more about the taste, not that I had to have a coffee. But I, with this work, when I started to dig into my emotions, I thought that if this is true, then I should be able to have coffee. And I'm not saying everybody should go this way, but the first day I had a coffee, I had to run to the bathroom, which was, I guess, okay, it was the same result as it's been earlier.
Right.
But I thought I have to give it a more try. Like this should work. I don't have a sensitivity to coffee.
Right.
So I had a coffee the second day, no reaction, and then the third day, no reaction, and it went on for like a week. And then I thought, but if this is true, like I wonder how much coffee I can have without having any problem. And I didn't push it further than this, but I had 1.5 liter coffee in one day. I felt a bit, I had a hard time to fall asleep. But there was nothing. My stomach didn't upset me anything.
Right.
And since then, I'm not every day, like I don't have to have coffee, but I enjoy coffee 4 or 5 times a week.
Right.
And nothing. And then I stayed away from coffee for like 8 years. So there's other like food sensitivities, but particularly coffee, I could see like the correlation was just there. It just disappeared.
Very interesting.
Yeah, so it even affects how your stomach works. So if anybody's wondering, it's definitely a connection there.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for sharing that. I mean, this is it warms my heart, conversation like this, that really among friends, there isn't any subject that's off limits, because isn't our well-being at the center of everything, and don't we wish that for everyone else?
Yeah.
So
definitely.
if we have access to information that can be helpful, then we can share that and hopefully enlighten somebody. And whether they end up working with us as a coach or with someone else, it doesn't matter. Just what matters to me is that people are searching for solutions and not being spoon-fed this I can't tell you how it makes me feel when I hear the words terminal or chronic, right? It's like somebody else is writing your destiny, and it shouldn't be like that. It should be always in your hands.
And it's also to say that people are afraid to try it, or they say they have tried everything. But even if it's a 50-50 chance that you can get pain-free, or you can get close to pain-free from wherever state you are today, would it be worth try it? It costs your time, maybe a little bit of money. You can do it yourself if you want. It could be good to have somebody hold your hand in the way of that when the questions comes up as you're moving along. It could be nice to have somebody that's you can lean on and say, okay, this has happened. I've seen the same results. You don't have to worry. But yeah, you can definitely do it yourself if you are short on
Yeah, you
something,
can
or you just
start
want to do
this.
it yourself.
Yeah, the search, you can start it by yourself, but it does help when you reach out to a friend. Like my recent situation that I shared with you with my son, and it was just a part of general conversation. I didn't come out to you with a question, but the way you reached out and explained to me, without going into that full story, you explained to me that kidney function was related to extreme stress, like stress from losing somebody we love, and that instantly rang, huge bells in my head, because recently my dad passed away, and my son was so close to him, and that would have been enough in his condition, that we didn't know that he was born with one kidney and functioning with one kidney, that was affecting him.
Mm.
He was able to express that grief, but probably the intensity of it, because it was the first, for him, was the biggest loss that he has suffered in life, for somebody closest to him dying, right?
Mm.
um,
Yeah.
so the person, like, outside his immediate family, of his dad, me, and his sister, right? I think my parents were in that closest circle for him, for sure. So I can just wholeheartedly recommend you, because I know that you have this vast knowledge, and you have the desire also to help someone figure out the best way for themselves to free themselves from limiting pain that sort of um, stops you in all the other areas of life. Like you said, you were searching for a relationship, but at the same time you're pushing somebody away,
Mm.
when you're in that much of a pain. You're not
Yeah.
open then to live your life fully. So
Yeah, it's
I
kind of
yeah.
absorbs you as you're looking
Mm,
for solutions. You become obsessed about the physical symptom you're dealing with. Um, so it's definitely something. Yeah, if you can give somebody and support somebody and give them the tools, it will serve them for the rest of their life. Um, then you're taking
absolutely.
back the power to be. I have control over my life, and
Mm,
sometimes, yeah, I need a bit of support, but there's definitely a lot of health issues we're dealing with in the Western world today that most likely can be solved if we allow ourselves to feel and be vulnerable and be beautiful.
yes.
Because it's an honor to be around people that show their true self. It's I'm grateful for everyone that's around me that can truly show who they really are.
Yes, yes. I can't tell you. I mean, it's such a pleasure to have you here, and I hope that we keep on talking about this subject, because it's so important for so many people we care about, and also as a preventative thing. It's so important for us to understand how our bodies work, and how we can keep them working for us for as long as we live, so that we can enjoy and share the life experience with everyone we care about, and that we can impact and lead people with our hearts, like you do.
Yeah, and it's something that I think it's important in life in general is to be able to drop our ego from time to
Mhm.
time. Like it's okay that we have been wrong. If we've been looking for solutions, that might get us upset for now, but we should always be able to zoom out and just like ask ourselves, could this be true, or am I have I read this wrong, or has somebody taught me something that wasn't the case? It actually was. Like the reality is different to what I've learned, and I tell some people like if you walk into a library, how many percentage of the library have you read?
Mhm.
If they say they've read the whole thing, yeah, then I'm like, you know a lot. But most of
Yeah.
us, I don't think we have read that much.
You're lying
Um,
about something else too.
yeah. Um, so that's it's a high possibility that we have picked up patterns, beliefs
Mhm.
in our life that is not true, and
Not
that
serving
opens a
us.
window of
Mhm.
opportunities also to be
Mhm.
okay that I might be wrong, and that's fine. because there is a big possibility, and there's a big possibility my neighbor is wrong too. So always be open to question or challenge your beliefs in life. It can serve you greatly to not put a wall that I'm right and nothing else matters. And in life in general, like it's viewed kind of as, if we come down to it, it's like you are right and I'm right of our perspective.
Yes.
So if we're talking about something, you are right in the way you see things.
Yes.
Because that's how you see the world.
Yes.
And I'm right as this is how I see the world. But as we challenge, or as a baby grows up, you see they challenge their beliefs every day.
Exactly.
And we as, just because we are over 20, we must be able to challenge that.
Yes. Music to my ears. Absolutely. We are adaptable, and just the change of the perspective can help see somebody else's perspective, because from their perspective, they are right, and they are right. Everyone is right from their perspective, and that is freeing to know and to understand and to embrace this. As well. I mean, I love how you said you zoom out a bit, because sometimes we are that close that we cannot see it. What I often say is look at the bigger picture. When you're feeling scared or overwhelmed, that means you're too close to it. And exactly as you said, zoom out means look at the bigger perspective.
Yeah.
You know. And also you reminded me of that African, I think it's African proverb that if you want to run fast, you go alone, but if you want to reach far, you go with someone.
That's probably true.
So
most likely it's true.
Yes, we can get further if we stick together and if we share these things. So my friend, I thank you so much for being such a delightful guest, for opening up this subject that is something that many people are facing, but probably staying quiet about it. And if you would send me your link, I would like to share the link where people can get in touch with you, where they can enter your sphere and be in direct contact with you.
Yeah, my pleasure to be here today. Great to connect with you, Katarina.
Thank you so much.